If you do work at a car wash, expect to see a lot of us coming through today. Good morning. Happy Friday to you. Glad that you're up here on 13 Sun, but you know that as soon as we get a little sun after snow, like we've had, everybody starts running through the car wash line.
I know, my car certainly needs it. I'm sure yours does as well. Well, guess what? We also need that sunshine and we need warmer weather.
Yeah,
We do.
Here.
And we eventually will get it.
Yes, that's okay. That's all we
May's only a few months away.
98 days.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we did get some of those flurries here yesterday in the metro, and I thought it was kind of pretty, just those little fluffy
It was.
flurries.
And some of you, it was more than a dusting. Some got none. Some a half an inch, Julia. In fact, out at the airport, it's funny that you mentioned that. It was feast or famine yesterday with this snow. The airport got nearly a half an inch of snow. And I know you don't believe this, but yesterday in Indianapolis, we got up to 30, which was the warmest temperature really since last weekend because we'd been struggling most of the week with these temperatures. Now, today will actually be colder than yesterday. There's a reason for that. The winds and also the fact that the cold air is blowing over snow. So with temperatures warming up into the 20s later on today, 5 is our current temperature. We just continue to go down. It's 1 below in Kokomo, 0 in Lafayette, 6 from Richmond to Muncie, all the way over to Terre Haute. Bedford, you're the hot spot, and that's only at 11 degrees this morning. Now, we are running really a lot colder than yesterday. In fact, we're about 14, 15 degrees colder than yesterday here in Indianapolis. 5 here, 5 Carmel, 5 Fishers, 5 Noblesville, 8 in Shelbyville, and 7 in Rushville. And the wind chills, as we mentioned, are in the single digits. Well, the snow is gone today. We'll see some brilliant sunshine, but it is going to be quite the cold day. And as the kids are heading out to school, remember, we don't have these delays and closing, so everybody's got to get out on time and dress appropriately. We're looking at a high of just 21 later today. Much warmer this weekend and next week. I'll bring you that good news in our 7-day outlook, but how are we doing in traffic this morning, Matt?
We're doing fine. There are a couple slick spots, but all accidents that we had earlier are cleared as of right now, so we're looking pretty good. But here's the thing. This is what it looks like for much of Indiana. The interstate's dry, but then check this out. On 65, you're going northbound, you're meeting with 38th Street on the northwest side of the city, headed towards Lafayette Road. Look at all the snow that's still kind of in the shoulder there, and a lot of that is some fresh snow, and then really caked in towards the barriers, that heavy snow that's still been stuck around for days. But if you get your tire a little bit too close to the shoulder, don't be surprised if you run into a little bit of black ice or some slick spots. This is what a lot of driveways and parking lots look like. This is the rest area there on I-69 northeast of Indianapolis, headed past Alexandria. So watch out for slick spots. Give yourself, Julia, a little extra time.
All right, thank you. This morning, President Donald Trump's executive order to effectively end birthright citizenship is blocked. A federal judge halted that measure yesterday, calling it, quote, blatantly unconstitutional.
So now it will play out in the courts. However, the Trump administration is moving forward with immigration enforcement. And he's directing agencies to detain immigrants and allow federal agents to go into schools and churches.
Well, here in Indiana, local agencies and state lawmakers are weighing in on those actions. Anna Chalker joins us now with how they're responding. Good morning, Anna.
Good morning, ladies. Some of those lawmakers worked quickly to introduce a bill to see how law enforcement here in Indiana would work with ICE. Now, this is House Bill 1393. It says if a police officer arrests someone for a misdemeanor or felony and has probable cause to believe that that person is undocumented, that officer is required to tell their county sheriff, who then has to let ICE know. In a committee meeting on Thursday, people in support of this bill say it's an emotional topic, but believes this gives better guidance to police. Others against this say this could lead to racial profiling.
We can say all we want that it is not based on race, but we know that the majority of people in this country associate undocumented status with people who look like me and who are darker. And so this is going to give a green light for racial profiling. It is going to stigmatize our community even further and cause irreparable harm.
House Bill 1393 passed out of the committee by a vote of 9-2. And like you mentioned, local agencies here are also talking about these immigration efforts. We'll be talking about IMPD and IMPS, their responses. That's coming up at 6:30.
I think that IPS response is very interesting to hear. Thank you, Anna. We'll see you soon.
Well, in just a few hours, the man suspected of shooting his estranged pregnant wife and killing her unborn child will be in court. Jeremy McBride is now charged with attempted murder and feticide. The shooting happened last Sunday on Indy's south side near East Raymond Street and Garfield Park. Police say McBride told them he'd planned the killing of his estranged wife and the unborn child before taking his own life. Now, the woman is expected to survive. We'll, of course, share with you any new developments in his charging case after court today.
Well, this morning, a Franklin woman is starting her 10-year sentence for hitting a 13-year-old girl with her car as that girl was getting on the school bus. This was in June of 2023 near Washington Street and Kitley Avenue on the east side. That's where Indy police say that Melanie Mudd blew through a stop arm from a school bus and hit that girl. Now, that girl survived the crash, but she did have broken bones and even damage to some of her organs. A blood draw revealed that the driver had fentanyl in her system.
It's heartbreaking because we continue to lose our babies.
Powerful words from a mother who certainly knows who lost two of hers. Right now, there is a search for answers after the shocking discovery of the 14-year-old girl whose body was found in the snow earlier this month. It happened nearly 2 weeks ago at the Laurelwood Apartments. Last night, Deandra Staples was honored at a community meeting about youth violence. Delia Brown organized the meeting. She chairs the Critical Response Team Task Force. She wanted to give the community a chance to talk about what happened and share how they're feeling about it.
This is a crisis that not only impacts us like in the city, but this is like a national thing. This is over the nations, gun violence amongst the youth.
People are tired.
So right now, IMPD tells 13 News they are still working on finding a suspect in this terribly tragic shooting, but we still have no updates to pass along.
Well, a former employee at a Greenwood daycare is charged with battery this morning involving a young boy. Investigators say that cameras inside of Kitty Academy in Greenwood show that teacher, Joyce Perkins, slapping that boy last November. In the arrest report, police said that it was hard enough to spin that little boy around. The teacher says it's because the boy spit on her. Well, Johnson County Prosecutor Lance Hamner saw that footage and filed the charge.
Under the law, that constitutes a battery because battery is defined as a person who knowingly, intentionally touches another person in a rude or insolent or angry manner.
Well, a daycare staff member tells 13 News that Perkins was immediately let go and a report was filed with the Department of Child Services. In a statement, daycare leaders say the facility has a zero-tolerance policy for mistreatment of kids.
Well, coming up on 6:08 this morning, sex trafficking charges are expected against a Muncie man who allegedly tried to lure in a 16-year-old girl with drugs.
So now the investigation could expand to include more victims. Right now, the suspect is being held in Grant County, and the girl is safe with her family. Last Saturday morning, police received a call from this girl. When they picked her up, they say she had visible cuts on her face. She told police that she was being held in a car by an alleged known drug dealer who specifically sells drugs to kids. The teen also told police the suspect participates in some form of sex trafficking.
What my concern is maybe the underreporting of it, because it took this juvenile, it took a lot of guts and to report it and come in and give a statement that she gave to give us probable cause to make the arrest right then. So that's a lot of bravery that she has shown.
And so right now the Grant County prosecutor is preparing to file formal charges. The Delaware County prosecutor says that he is asking law enforcement to see if any crimes were committed in the Muncie area.
Right now, there is unfortunately a backlog of untested rape kits with a wait time of up to 8 months here in the state of Indiana for victims. Now lawmakers are trying to tackle that issue. Republican Representative Becky Cash has proposed a bill that would add nearly $3 million to help get those kits processed and processed faster. If passed, the money would be available beginning next June and would be given out through the Indiana State Police. Cash says the issue is crime labs don't have enough equipment to process all of the DNA. Labs also have an issue recruiting and retaining employees. Advocates say this is a much needed change for survivors of sexual assault.
The opportunity for these rape kits to be processed, not only to give the possibility of justice to those that have been harmed, but to also give the possibility of protecting others in the future from those that have predatory behavior.
Right now, the bill is headed through the legislative process.
This morning, there is a push to support public education and some pushback against a measure that's making its way through the State House. Last night, there was a meeting at Olivet Baptist Church on North High School Road. And right now, Indiana lawmakers are considering a bill that could lead to a state takeover of Indianapolis public schools and several other districts in the state. Because essentially, if 50% or more of a district's students choose to go to a charter school, then all of the public schools would be converted to charters. The bill's author says it's to ensure that school corporations are giving kids the best education possible. On the other hand, a professor at IU Indianapolis says that this isn't the way to do that.
Schools just close in the middle of the semester, or you'll have your kids, you work hard to get your kids in one school, and that school closes and you have to look for another school, you know. They don't talk about any of that. They don't talk about how low performing several of the charters are.
Well, the IPS board is against the bill. It is 6:11. This morning, residents in Los Angeles, California are still on high alert after a new wildfire has popped up. At 6:45, we'll tell you about thousands more who've had to evacuate after thinking they were in the clear.
And a Tennessee teenager being remembered after being gunned down in a school lunchroom. At 6:15, the new details we're learning about the first school shooting of the new year.